We are back here with a very special guest. I'm happy to welcome to our anchor desk. We've elevated you to anchor now. Notre Dame linebacker Joe Schmidt. He's going to be a member of the class of 2015. Your story pretty well known, quote-unquote walk-on, but he's not your normal walk-on. He was preferred to begin with, and now you've earned a scholarship. And I met your dad, Blue Gold Weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I love this story, and I love to start with it. But take us through how you told your dad that you had a full-ride Notre Dame scholarship.
Well, actually, it was a really early morning this past June. We had just gotten back for summer workouts, and Coach Kelly called a really early morning meeting on a Friday. And I told my dad the night before, hey, you might be getting a good call from me about 5:30. Just if you do, answer it. I didn't tell him anything else. So I actually went to the meeting, and about 20 minutes before the meeting, Chad Plunder, our operations guy, comes up to me and says, "Hey Joe, like Coach Kelly wants you in his office." So I said, it's going to be really good or really bad. And so I went up to Coach Kelly's office, and sure enough, it was, hey Joe, you've done a great job. You've earned a scholarship. So I went in. Had a great, he sold the whole team, which was really cool. But the coolest part was going and telling my dad. So I went right out of that meeting, I called him, and he's asleep still. And he pulls off his, he answers the phone, he pulls off this Darth Vader breathing sleep apnea mask and says, he goes, hello, I'm like, hey Dad, it's Joe. He's like, what are you doing calling me? And I'm like, well Dad, how would you like to save $250,000 over the next, 3 or 4 years? He said, that's great, Joe. How are we going to do that? It's kind of fresh, he's awake. I was like, well, they got these things called scholarships. And so he starts crying. My mom starts crying. It was a pretty cool experience.
What was the reaction of your teammates when they found out?
It was actually awesome. I got a hug from, I think, about 100 guys that day. And just, how everybody kind of just was so, encouraging and just, loving. It was a great brother atmosphere. So.
Now, but you came here with the intention of earning playing time, right, and the goal of earning substantial playing time. I'm sure there were other options for you. I know there were other options for you where you would have played right off the bat. Why did you choose Notre Dame?
There's something about Notre Dame. I was bitten by the bug really early. My sister and my brother-in-law were Domers. Both played sports here. And I fell in love with the university really early. Me and my dad used to watch football games together on Saturdays, and we'd have the roster in front of us, and we knew the stories of the guys, and it was just something that we really appreciated. And then once I came here and I saw the people, it was a really special thing, and I could understand that there's something about the Notre Dame community. There's something about the Notre Dame person that's just a cut above everyone, in terms of giving back and the service and things like that. So that's what really attracted me to Notre Dame.
Now, I do get the opportunity to watch spring practice, and everybody over in the Goog and the staff, there is no official depth chart. Right. So I'm not saying there's an official depth chart, but it's clear at the end of spring practice, you were the #1 middle linebacker. And I was very impressed, not just with your execution, but the middle linebacker in this setup. You're the quarterback. You're getting people in the right place. You're making sure people in the right coverage. That's going to be a pretty heady experience for you.
Yes and no. That's how I like to play the game, though. I'm an intellectual player. I like to think about the game in the big picture, how the pieces all fit together. If the safety moves here, how does that affect the linebacker? If the defensive line are making a stunt, how does that affect the linebacker's fits, the safety's fits? So understanding how that all fits together, and then once you see that, you can put people in the right place to make the right plays and be more productive. So when I think about that, it's an opportunity for us to be more successful. So that's a really exciting thing for me, and it's something that I've embraced with this scheme. So I think that this is something that I think it's going to be a big asset for us in the coming season.
Okay. Now, certainly, Brian Kelly, I've learned, doesn't throw around compliments. And I know I mentioned this to you. I don't know if you've seen the press conference yet, but where he said, in this area of elite, you got to understand, Notre Dame football is made up of elite athletes, that you might have some physical limitations in comparison to some of your teammates. But he said you more than make up for that in your football acumen. What does that mean to you?
I take it as a compliment. I actually didn't see the press conference. But I take it as a compliment, and if someone's telling me that I'm overachieving in that regard, I'm happy about that. All I care about is working hard, doing everything I can to get the most out of my abilities, the most out of my my mental abilities, my physical abilities. But that's a compliment for me, and thanks, Coach.
Okay, now I've made the focus on you, and this is not what this interview is supposed to be about. You are also, and even before you got the scholarship, very involved in a program called Uplifting Athletes. Tell me what that's about.
So Uplifting Athletes was started when I was coming out of my freshman year. I was approached by an older walk-on, actually Nick Lazinski, and the president of Uplifting Athletes, Scott Shirley, and we talked about maybe bringing a chapter of Uplifting Athletes to Notre Dame. So what is Uplifting Athletes? Basically, we use college football's players, unique platform. We have thousands of followers on Twitter. And people are always looking at us for news and such. So we use that to raise money and awareness for rare diseases. So we actually met Sam Grew a few years ago. Sam Grew is a local teenager from Mishawaka area. And Sam and I and a bunch of guys in the team, we became really close. But Sam had osteosarcoma, which is a rare form of bone cancer that affects mainly children. So they actually had to amputate his leg from basically his quad to his ankle and put his ankle on backwards. And so he's actually beaten the cancer, though. He's cancer-free for about a year now, which is awesome. Go Sam. And he's playing basketball and lacrosse. But without raising money for osteosarcoma, treatments like this can't happen. So we're really dedicated to having events like we're having a bowling event this Saturday for Uplifting Athletes at Strikes and Spares in Mishawaka, or in South Bend rather, sorry. It's from 10 to 11 and you can register for it. But we're dedicated to doing events like that throughout the year to raise money for people like Sam. And
it is actually over on Grape Road. You're right, the first time Mishawaka, the dividing lines between the cities are sometimes a little difficult to keep straight, but I know a lot of people are watching this from all around the world, so people can certainly come out and support you that day. But say someone is in Taiwan or Australia, can they help as well?
Definitely. By going to upliftingathletes.org and going to our Notre Dame team site, there's actually a link also on my Twitter, Joe Schmidt IV. You can see that there's a link to our actual event website, but you can donate to our chapter, or you can donate to just the Uplifting Athletes cause in general. But to sponsor a lane is $250, and you'll have your name up above the lane, or name of your company up above the lane, or you can just make a general donation. But any and all donations are accepted and encouraged, and we're just looking to have a great day on Saturday, have a great day with fans, the kids, and sign some autographs, and hopefully get some strikes. We'll see how that goes.
And we live in a cynical world, and I do know you guys adopted Sam as soon as you met him as a teen, and I know we were under strict orders. More and more people learned about it. No publicity.
Right.
And even those of us who work for Fighting Irish Digital Media, we were forbidden to even mention it because it wasn't about, look how great we are. It was about this football team trying to lift up a young man who had been dealt a tough break. And now that I know he's in remission as far as I understand.
Yes.
Is he cancer-free right now?
He's cancer-free right now.
Okay.
Which is awesome.
But now that he's there, now you've made it public, and now you're making it a public fundraising effort.
Exactly. And I mean, Sam is, when I say Sam is, he really is the man. Like, I've never met a guy that's more positive, optimistic, just generally just has a happy outlook on life. He's hilarious. He's got a great family, great upbringing. So just being around his family has been a blessing for me and the guys in the team. And it's an amazing experience to be able to help him and his family and other victims of this disease and cancer in general. So it's something that we're really passionate about, and we're so excited for this event on Saturday, and then looking forward to the events this summer and this fall, and really raising a lot of money and awareness for this disease.
Joe, thank you as always.
Thank you so much.
Nice job once again.
Thank you.
Our live Notre Dame Day programming will continue right after this brief timeout.